Well, like I said, brother, from the get-go, I was never going to be a part of the clique. Never. Because I fucking didn't do the gas and I didn't fucking bodybuild because I couldn't stand the fucking mentality of those people. And when I went to the dressing room, I always sat in the fucking room with the jobbers because they were fucking fun, nice guys that when you got done working at night, they would take you out and have food at their cars and we'd barbecue and get high and drink. I mean, they were just fucking great guys. I couldn't stand the ego of the fucking dressing room. So I always fucking dressed with the jabronis because they were always fucking funny and great people. I hate using that name. But, those guys were amazing, amazing people. And so I always dressed with them. And, you know, I, Eric didn't like me from the get go. I think he put up with me. But, and then when Mick and I hit it off and things started actually going pretty good for Mick and I heard Bischoff talking about that match in a shoot with one of the fucking guys that was doing the show about, the craziest shit that was ever on WCW. And that match was one of them. And the only thing that Eric ever talked about in that match, and posthumously, I'm talking about this was an interview done a couple of years ago, was about Mick Foley. And he didn't mention my name. He didn't mention the Nasty Boys' names. He only talked about Mick because by then he was in the WWF and Mick was still hot and on fire. And so, Eric didn't want to take a chance on burning any kind of bridge with Mick. So the only guy he talked about was Mick. I just didn't have any friends in the offices. That was my biggest problem because I couldn't be a fucking stooge and I couldn't fucking, I wasn't going to call Vince and tell him what was going wrong on the tour. And then when I fucking hurt Knobs, he pulled me aside underneath the bleachers. And because Knobs was in there crying like a fucking baby. And he comes over to me, pulls me out. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing, Max? You can't do that." And I looked him right in the eyeballs and I said, "You know something, Eric? I had a good friend tell me once, there comes a time in your life when you got to say no. And if you don't say no, the only person you got to fucking blame is the man in the mirror. And the Nasty Boys have hurt me for the last fucking time," which was a lie because they beat the shit out of Mick and I at the fucking street fight. For that one fucking shoulder that I broke of Knobs, they smashed Mick in the head with a fucking shovel. They hit, that last fucking table he hit me with at the end of that match. It just rang my fucking bell. I can't tell you how many times the Nasty Boys hurt Mick and I.